Hey, you, it is Nina here. You are officially listening to Triggered. Can we play with that wherever you get your podcasts, or you're watching us on YouTube? So, hey, friend. If you are not already following me on Instagram at Drama Therapist Nina, now is a fantastic time to do so. Today's episode, as with all episodes, is going to invite you to play with some triggering material. And we are, emphasis here on the word play, because we are playful. I'm going to invite you to explore some triggering material today around your fears of losing control. Okay. I am going to tell a personal story, and then we are going to offer some psychoeducational material, some new perspective and different ways for you to look at it in your own life. Yes. Again, we're going to take my personal story and make it universal to humanity, right? In the best way that we can. And because it is a human moment that we are going to be exploring today, we will not be able to explore every facet of humanity or way that we could explore this triggering topic around losing control and the fears that people have around that. We will, however, be able to explore at least one. So have a journal on hand or a really good friend to dialogue with about what comes up for you in this particular episode. Also, you are going to hear me at the end tell you more about our Empowered Human Live. It happens the last Wednesday of the month, and that's our community meeting for all of you out there who are trying to transform from powered to empowered. That is what we're essentially doing on this podcast. I'm inviting you to explore triggering, scary material in playful and more or less safe ways, right? It's not dangerous, even if it's scary. And I am inviting you to transform hard conversations into teachable moments. Yes, to go from powered to empowered, or maybe even disempowered to empowered. Now, there's more that I can say on that. And of course, I'll tell you more about our community meeting that is free. It happens the last Wednesday of every month. I'll tell you more at the end of the episode. However, right now, time sensitive. I know this episode goes out on Wednesday, but this Sunday, May 21st, in Houston, Texas, if you are here with me, friends, we have a Sober Fest coming up. Party Sober, a partnership of Houston, is putting it on, as well as so many other beautiful organizations. If you are out there and you find yourself saying, I am looking for my community. I'm looking for the people who want to get high on life, quote unquote. I'm looking for those people who want to just be their most vibrant selves, and they want to get to know other people who want to have a good time living this thing we call life together. Think about, right? Head over to Instagram, Party Sober Partnership, or Party Sober HTX, I think is what they actually are on Insta, or head over to Google and look up Soberfest Houston so that you can be there or be square, right? This particular Sunday, I will be there, and I look forward to hearing who has heard this episode and is going to be there because of this. Yes. So otherwise, I digress. I'm just really excited and looking forward to it. Back to our episode. For those of you who are like, yes, Nina, I want to lean in. I want to talk about my own fears of losing control. I want to hear your story. I want to, get a different perspective on it. Welcome. This episode is for you. So again, grab that journal or a really good friend. And now you know that I am curious before we get in there, friends. Are you ready to play?
Welcome to Triggered. Can we play with that? You know that moment when your emotions ramp up in an instant, leaving you feeling helpless, frozen, or out of control? In that moment, you've been emotionally hijacked, the very definition of triggered. And I want to ask you, can we play with that? I'm Nina Garcia, drama therapist and empowerment coach of Houston Creative Arts Therapy. Join me as we discover ways to empower you and the people who mean the most to you, to transform hard conversations into teachable moments. Triggered. Real playful. Real respectful. Real empowered.
Let's take a breath. All right, we go ahead and start with story time. And before I do lean into story time, one thing that is important, give yourself consent to explore in the way that is most beneficial to you. So what I mean by that is, yes, I am going to share with you a very human moment. However, It is not going to feel quite so universal unless you've had that experience. So, after I share that moment, I will offer you universal tidbits because we are exploring that fear of losing control. You'll also hear me drop a few nuggets during the story. That's usually how we roll here. If something works for you and you're like, yes, this resonates with me, I want to run with this, then run with it. If you're questioning it and you're like, I want to look at this a little bit more, put it on the shelf, my friend, get curious about it. And if something does not work for you, throw it away, burn it, I don't care, right? This is my lived experience that I'm sharing with you. And I'm inviting you to explore your own lived experience, right? With perspective of mine. So, without further ado, here is my story. This one is what's going to be called my birthing story. So, in a nutshell, uh, as a woman, quote unquote, in this world, and as many of us in this world are wont to do, we are given very particular stories. You have been given a story about how you should live your life, what success looks like, what fulfillment looks like, what's beneficial for you. You have been given stories since before you were born, and you started to consume them almost immediately, whether you knew it or not. And so, one of the stories that I had been given and that I was very much looking forward to was I was going to have children one day. I was going to be able to go to a birthing center, which is right. I can get to have my natural birth. I'll be in a beautiful, resort like room. It'll be hotel like room. I'll get to have my baby in a bath or maybe the shower, right? It's just a very, very particular birthing experience. And here's the thing, just like the stories you have been given about your expectations on work, relationship, romance, success, what it is to be an individual, so on and so forth. I had very particular stories about my birthing process that helped me feel in control. And so I didn't have any fear, right? More or less. I didn't have any fear. I was like, this is natural. People have babies every day. People have babies naturally every day. I'm going to be one of those people, right? And so I thought, then going throughout the pregnancy process, which was really quite lovely for the most part, physically speaking, I get a curveball. The universe throws me a curveball, much like the universe might be throwing you curveballs with your own definitions of success. The curveball that I got was that my baby was breech. And what this means is that instead of her head being down where it should have been so that she could exit my body the most safely and peacefully, arguably speaking, right? That's the typical way that things should be done. My baby's feet were down at the bottom. And so I was not allowed in my country or in my city to give birth naturally. Uh, and what instead had to happen is I was scheduled for a C section, which meant my entire idea of my beautiful, strong birthing process in my own room that I got to decide with the women that I knew by my side, with my man by my side, and so on and so forth, right? All of these things. All of that went right out the friggin' window. And when I tell you that I have never been more afraid in my life was the day I had to walk into that hospital for a scheduled C-section. Okay, scheduled. You would think, Nina, didn't you feel like you had control? Hell no, I didn't feel like I had control. I thought, what the hell, universe? What the F is going on here? I was so angry. But on the day I walked into that hospital, I was petrified. I was so afraid. I thought, if I can't control this birthing process, there's a chance I will die on that table. That is the level of fear that I had of not having control. Do we understand how universal that is? I had an expectation around if I could have my own birthing natural process in my body, that somehow I would not die that way. I would not perish, but under the hand of a doctor, that I just might. That was the level of control that I thought I could have over my birthing process, right? You might be finding the same thing in your own stories, but I'm going to finish mine before we lean into you. Yes, yes. So here I am, I'm terrified. Uh, I go into the room and I'm like, you know what? I want to have the most empowered birthing process that I can. So for those of you who know, you're powered to empowered, right? Powered is really rigid. It's like the doctor gets to say what goes. I have no say, and it is what it is. That is not the kind of birthing process I was trying to have. I wanted more control. And so Like I'm always telling you all, write this down, control what you can control. I had my birthing plan written down on a piece of paper. I had it given to the team that was going to be cutting me open and performing the C-section. Best laid plans, right? Best laid plans. I tried to control what I could, but when I went into the room, what ended up happening was the anesthetologist, wow, sorry, I swear I have a college degree, anesthetician, whoever the individual was that was going to be anesthetizing my back, right, sticking a large needle in my back so that I could not feel anything from the waist down, essentially. Um, During the actual procedure, started to speak with somebody else in the room about my body as if it were meat. They were talking about the different layers of my flesh and muscle that were being cut open. And I thought, oh my God, this is not the peaceful, beautiful hotel room like process that I wanted. What do I do? What can I do here? How can I control this? Such to the point that I had to shush him. I had said, excuse me, can you all please be quiet? I'm trying to hear what my own nurse and, oh, forgetting the word for this other individual right now. There's a very particular word around them. Um, Doula, birthing doula, right? We're saying to me, I could not hear them over this man talking to another man about my body as if I were an object. So when I tell you, I felt like I had no control in that moment, even after I shushed them. I went, shh. They paused maybe for 3 seconds and then continued to have that conversation. If I could go back in time, what I wish I would have said is the empowered truth of the moment, which would have been, instead of trying to shush them, which clearly didn't work, it was my powered move. And they just powered me, right? Responded with another powered move, what they say goes. I wish I would have said, I have asked you to be quiet because I'm uncomfortable with the way that you're speaking about my body, period. I wonder if I would have had a different result if I'd come at that with an empowered way instead of a powered way of trying to have control. Okay. That's one of my offerings there. The second, perhaps the one that is the least forgivable to me, I had a woman who was supposed to be sewing me up. Okay. There's a lot of trust that you have to have for anybody who's been out there. You are awake as somebody is cutting into your body, sewing you back up. It's a lot of trust you got to have. Right. And I don't know these people, did not plan for these people, right? This woman is clearly having a bad day, a bad week. I don't care, a bad something, right? And I am there again. I'm trying to have this, like, I'm like, okay, listen to your music that you have on, Nina. This can still be a beautiful process. Meanwhile, the woman who's supposed to be sewing me up is complaining about how she doesn't want to be present. She's saying things like, I can't wait to get out of here. I'm talking the face, the tone, that attitude, her body language. Every ounce of her said, I don't want to be here. She was not present with me in that room, folks. She was stuck in her own stuff. And because she could not see past her stuff, she could not see to the experience I was having. She said a few things. And then the last time that she said something, as she was trying to sew me up, she said, I just can't wait to get this weekend. I just really need this weekend. And I went, as I looked at her. And all she did was look at me and she went, sorry. She didn't say anything else after that. But this sits with me, and I have to work through this still to this day because I had so little control over that moment, friends. What I wish that I had done, if I could go back and empower that moment. And when we think about empowering, y'all, it is you controlling what you can control to build a bridge between all of the people who are there, a bridge of understanding. You don't have to agree with me, but I need you to understand this is what I need in this moment. If I could have empowered her and myself and the team in that moment, what I would have said is, I understand that you do not want to be here, but this is the only chance and opportunity that I have to birth this child safely right now, and it's here with you. If you would not like to be here, please know it is okay if you leave, and the primary doctor will sew me up. I wish that I had said that and really claimed that space. The reason why we're leaning into this, and I offer you this, right? And that's pretty much where that story ends. We had a very safe process. I got to hold my baby afterwards. She's beautiful, healthy, lovely. But when we think about that fear of losing control and you don't have a choice in some of the things that are going to be happening to you, controlling what you can't control is all you have. And you can only be responsible for your thoughts, your feelings, your behaviors. Again, responsibility is only your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. When accountability comes in, that is us inviting the people who are around us to be responsible for themselves. That is what can help us mitigate that fear of losing control. Because the reality is, if we are thinking about life lessons here from this story to your story, which I'm going to lean into in a moment, life is nothing but risk. Every day we take a million risks. Now, sure, they may be calculated risks, but it's all risk and it's all about risk mitigation. And so, because there is risk nonetheless, no matter what you do, every time your anxiety steps into the picture and says you can't or you must, right? Every time that control, that part of you says we have to control other people and we've got to do it right now, we got to do it this way. That fear of losing control is what's present, right? Among other things, right? Among other things, this is the facet we're going to explore here. So if that risk is all about running up to the edge, all about running up to the edge, trying to control, trying to do it's like right here. If I could just get everybody right here. My invitation to you is to ask yourself, if you were to run up to the edge and then realize there's more, what happens after you jump? Every time you have that fear of losing control, it's you right on the edge. But I want you to remember and write this down. There is more after the edge. If you're willing to take the jump, the leap to the other side, there is more than just the edge. So here is my adventure challenge for you. I love a little self-growth, y'all. I'm super growth oriented, all about giving you agency and tools to perceive your life differently. I want you to think about a moment in which you have had anxiety of late, right? That fear of losing control or fear of, I don't know, maybe even having too much control, but in this case, losing control of something and how rigidly we might adhere to that. Write down one thing that sticks out to you of late, right? Think about that one thing that sticks out to you late. Where have you felt like you have no control, like you're losing control, like you are helpless? Where is that? Write that down, period. And once you have written that down, I want you to ask yourself, how can you truly empower this moment for you and those around you to feel more control by building bridges of understanding? How can you acknowledge that there are multiple truths present, and that if you are able and willing to build that bridge of understanding between you and other people, that you may actually be able to feel more at peace, even in the midst of not having as much control as you might like? So, something to explore, that moving from rigid power, I need to hold on to it, and the fear there to, wait a minute, how can I accept that this is where I'm at and really empower this moment? That is what I am inviting you to be curious about, folks. I am super grateful that you have been willing to explore your triggers as a human being. And of course, if this has been helpful, the best thing you can do is share the episode. Get the dialogue going. Get people exploring and getting curious about their triggers and how they can redefine their relationship to them, right? How they can really transform hard conversations into teachable moments. I did say that I was going to tell you more about that Empowered Human Community meeting. Don't be alone out there if you don't need to be. The last Wednesday of the month, I will have an Empowered Human Live. It will be on Instagram. It will be me, and I will be talking to you about a lot of empowered human things, right? Emotional sobriety this month is going to be big. Moving from rupture to repair is going to be big this month. I can tell we've had questions already. Come to that meeting. That is my call to action for you. If it feels right on your journey, just come. Ask a question ahead of time. I'll cover it there if you'd like, right? Get our empowered human community blossoming and vibrant by bringing yourself to the table. So that is what I planned for you today, folks. Thank you so much again. And of course, stay curious.